I'm just kidding. I won't do anything, so I'll just scribble on it or something. Alright, function notation, as you can see on the board. You guys don't have to write this down because it's already written down, but function notation comes from regular notation. Y equals, let's say, mx plus a. If I had an equation in regular notation, it might be something like y equals 2x plus, I don't know, 6. 6 looks like B. Let's do 5. I'm not using any of your numbers. Alright, so in function notation, we're basically going to replace y with f of x. Please write that down. This stands for f of x. This does not mean f times x. F is not a variable. F is the name of the function. X is the number we're going to input into our function. This is a special evaluation type of notation. Alright, so instead of y equals 2x plus 5, we would say f of x equals 2x plus 5. So the only thing that really changes is this. The y changes to that. Now, what is the point? Why do we care? Well, instead of y equals negative 10x plus 7, and the directions I gave you guys for the warm-up was to evaluate when x equals 2, right? So instead of giving you this and telling you this, I could have just said f of 2 equals negative 10x plus 7. And what this would have done is it would have told you that in the function we're talking about, this one, we're going to input 2 and find y. So we would say f of 2 equals negative 10 times 2 plus 7. F of 2 equals negative 13. So instead of y equals negative 13, you would have f of 2 equals negative 13. What information is this giving us that this is not? Josh?
The value of x.
Yeah, it told us the input. It's telling us what we plugged in. Okay? So it's really the whole purpose of function notation. Also, when you have multiple functions, we name them with different letters. You'll see that in a minute. All right, so this does not mean f times 2. We don't have to divide both sides by 2. This is not a variable. This is the name of the function. This function is called f. Yes?
Okay, so if I understand this right, so you know how you said f, like you put f next to x, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the warm-up, you said that x equals 2. So if like another way to write that would just, because like if f has like a parenthesis next to it, that's always going to be the value of x.
Whatever we're plugging in, yeah.
Oh.
So if I said, what is this equation when x equals 10? Well, you'd say f of 10. But we did say 2, so we say f of 2, yeah.
So does that mean the y no longer has to be there?
So it's still there, it's just not written. So if f of 2 is negative 13, what is y? Yeah. Y is still negative 13. We should know that y, the output is negative 13, the input was 2. Yeah.
What is f of 2?
It means we are evaluating the function when x is 2. Okay? All right. So let's look at example 1. I put what we're going to do here. And I said here f of x is y and y is f of x. That's just so you know that they're the same thing. And then I wrote slope-intercept form, but instead of y, I put f of x. All right. Just so you guys remember, I hate third mod.
Wait, you ate the class?
Hate third mod. I just want to, in case you forgot, since the last time I told you, I hate it.
Okay.
I'm just kidding, I don't hate you guys.
No. Please edit nothing out of this.
Oh, it's not getting edited. It's going straight up to YouTube.
You make a bet.
Make sure the link is.
It's at the very top.
Third mod's gonna come in on Monday and be like, that wasn't cool. Making me do that." All right, A. A is, by the way, we're only gonna do the front of this. There's just not enough time to do the back, so we'll do the back on Monday. A is f of, so first of all, there are three functions. The first function is f, and that function is, what is it, 2x plus 1?
Yeah.
Okay, this is function f. And then we have function g, and g is x over 2 minus 3, right?
Yes.
Yes, you guys are looking at the paper, right?
Yeah.
It's right there next to example 1.
Oh, yeah.
I listed the 3 for you. And then we had h of x,
X squared minus X.
which is x squared minus x. Okay. So we have 3 different functions. Each one of them has a different name. We have f, g, and h. For a, it's telling us to find f of 2. What is that telling us to do? Ideas, Mahalet.
So find the function of x. I mean y.
I think you're getting scrambled. Udana?
Find.
Hold on. Can't even talk to you right now. Take those off.
Find for y or x when x is 2.
Okay, kind of. All right. What it's saying is evaluate function f when x is 2. So which one is function f?
The first one.
First one. So f of 2 equals 2x plus 1, which means that I plug 2 in for x, which means that f of 2 is 5. Yes?
So what is f2 meaning?
F of 2 means evaluate function f when x is 2.
Oh, so you're just putting whatever X is.
No, it could be anything. So I could tell you to evaluate it when x is 10 or 12 or 7 or negative 4 or 0 or 3.2. I could do any input, but I'm asking you to find out what is y when x is 2. Basically. Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay. All right, so A is done. That's the answer to A. This means function f evaluated when x is 2 gives us y equals 5. That make sense?
You're not supposed to do anything on that side.
Correct. That's like the name and the information. So what is x?
X is 2.
What is y?
5.
So when x is 2, y is 5.
Yeah.
We get it.
Got it? All right, let's do B.
He's gonna go.
G of negative 3. You guys hear how I'm saying that?
Yeah.
That does not mean g times negative 3. That's saying g of negative 3. Yeah.
I have a question. So in a fraction, if the numerator is negative and the denominator is positive, what will
The whole thing's negative.
okay.
All right, so g of negative 3 equals x over 2 minus 3. Basically, I'm just writing the function that I'm going to input it into here. Okay? I could go ahead and put negative 3 into there right now, but I just want to write it so you see it first. And then write it again so you see how I input it. So g of negative 3 equals negative 3 over 2 minus 3. Don't get scared, it's just a fraction. This, what does negative 3 have? That's a nice decimal. What is that as a decimal?
1.5.
Negative 1.5 minus 3. Where did I get the 3 from? Who said that? It's handy. What, the negative 3?
Yeah.
I plugged this.
No, negative 3 over.
I plugged this in for x. We're always going to plug that number here in for x. Really, I should have written it like this. It should have been written like this. G of x equals x over 2 minus 3. And then g of negative 3 equals negative 3 over 2 minus 3. Does that make more sense there? Okay, I'll write it like that from now on. So instead of f of 2 here, what should I put? F of x. Which means I'm about to plug something in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's negative 1.5 minus 3?
Negative 4.5. Negative 4.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So g of negative 3 equals negative 4.5.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's if you just make up a number to put in, right?
I'm not making that up. The problem asked me to put in negative 3.
How?
Read the problem on your paper.
Oh.
Got it? Okay. C. Jessica, what's C?
H of negative 4.
H of negative 4. Okay, this one, third mod, by the way. I hate you. Just kidding. They're really going to be upset. This is going to be a fun Monday. All right, H of negative 4. You got to be careful when you plug in the negative 4 because there is a square. When there's a square, what is being squared here? X. And what is x? Negative 4. So am I squaring the negative? Yes, it's included in what I'm squaring. I'm squaring everything that x is, and x is a negative number, so that means I'm squaring the negative number. So I'm sorry, let me write the function first. H of x equals x squared minus x, and I'm doing h of negative 3.
Negative 4.
Negative 4, thank you. Well, that didn't work out, right? H of negative 4 equals parentheses negative 4 squared minus parentheses negative 4. You guys see what I did with that negative 4? You see the double negative? That is very important.
So it's
Yeah, so I plug it in for all my x's. Alright, so what is negative 4 squared?
16.
And what is 16? And what is a double? A minus negative 4 means to what? Plus 4. What is 16 plus 4?
20.
H of negative 4 equals 20.
I think it's 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are all working ahead, aren't you?
Yes.
You guys
No.
are. You guys are.
Yes.
I love how you guys have questions and it's like for 2 problems ahead. It's like, Mr. Moreland.
Question.
Yes.
Is this going to be on the PSA?
I can't tell you exactly what's going to be on it because I haven't seen the test, but I would assume this will be on the test.
Okay,
So
will
when
the,
do you
will
get
the
to
like
see the
equations?
You will definitely see function notation on PSAT.
When do you
Will the equations be like F
Yeah, they'll be similar to that.
So will they be there? Will I be able to see them? Or do I have to memorize the equation?
No, these could be anything. These could be any equations. This could be f of x equals 12x plus 1. They could be anything. They could be any equation there, yeah.
So, on like, okay, for example, like if you gave us a test or something, do we have to know what, like, because are there always going to be like these boxes that show what you have to input, or do you have to like know that?
No, it'll tell you what it wants you to input.
They'll just say if parentheses 2.
Yeah, if it just says f of x, then you don't know what x is, so there's nothing you can plug in. So you can't do anything. You don't. F is the standard one. They usually use F, G, H. Those are usually the letters they use. Yeah. Alright, so the F, depending on what we're talking about. So if we're talking about height, the height of a baseball over time, it might be h of x. H is for height. So the letter that's in front of the variable usually represents whatever we're talking about. So if it's distance, it would be d of x. If it's speed, it would be s of x. Time, t of x. It could be any variable, yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. Alright, what is d? What is d?
F of 6 minus G of 8 equals.
Okay, so with this one, this does not mean 6 minus 8. Okay, so this one you're going to do f of 6, then you're going to do g of 8, and then you're going to subtract their
I
answers.
thought you were gonna combine the equations.
So what is f of 6? So that is, f of 6 is 2 times 6 plus 1, which is 13. And g of 8 is
1.
equals 8 divided by 2 minus 3, which is 4 minus 3, which is 1.
Wait a minute.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Wait, so hold up.
So hold on. You find out what f of 6 is. We got 13.
Do them separately.
We find out what g of 8 is. We got 1, and now we do 13 minus 1.
Why never mind.
Because we're subtracting this one from this one.
Where is even the equation?
You have to make it.
It's already here.
The answer is 12. Yes, Leslie.
Because you can.
Where did the 2 come from? What 2? Where did this 2 come from?
Yeah, it's from the equation up there.
From right here.
Oh, wait, is it always
Now
like
I
that?
get it.
Wait, is that like
So this f, I know I need to use this equation. G, I know I need to use this one.
So where do you put the f of, where do you input the f of 6 in that equation?
Speak clear.
Where did you input the f of 6 into the...
I put 6 into this equation. And I put 8 into this one.
The x, it's the x. 6.
Yeah, whatever, wherever the x is, that's where you replace it.
X and G of 8 and then do that equation.
Ah!
Alright, do E. Do E. Yeah. Just wait. You have 34 seconds.
What kind of?
I'm done.
Yeah, that is.
You now have 17 seconds.
Where's fifth?
That is 8.
So which one? Me too.
Loud noises!
Only
Can't do math under pressure, that's the point.
I knew you were gonna do it too. I'll
Yeah. It's a daily thing. It goes down to it.
You guys are gonna have like a syndrome after kids. Just wait, you're gonna be in the middle of PSAT. Who's your homeroom? Prescott, you're gonna be there taking PSAT. You're gonna hear the door slam open out front of you. Like, loud noises!
Yeah, I got it.
Ew!
I bet you're from the third mod.
Bro, are you third mod?
Are you sure, Marty? Third mod?
Huh?
Are you sure, Marty?
No, he's first mod.
Oh, okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
everybody in the whole.
Alright, are we ready?
I'm ready.
Yay!
E is h of 3 over f of 1. H of 3 over f of 1. Well, we need to find h of 3, which is 3 squared
It's 6 over 3.
minus 3, right? Which is 9 minus 3, which is 6.
It's 6 over 3.
And h of f of 1 is 2 times 1 plus 1, which is
3.
3, which 6 divided by 3 is 2. How many of you got that right? For the record, YouTube, no one has their hand up.
Nothing really.
Oh, okay. If you...
Huh?
My bowels are not.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Psych your mind.
Wow.
Alright, last one, F. Here we go. G of, go ahead and do F. See if you can figure it out. This is G of 10 plus 4.
I swear if I get home and edit this stuff out, I'm gonna be so mad.
All right, you have 24 seconds. Done?
Yeah.
No, you must wait 24
They
seconds.
did it before everybody else.
During the day.
Yeah, I'm done.
We got it.
Got it.
I got it.
Yeah. No one cares.
It's alright.
Distributed?
3 hours doing something? How much we doing today?
Wait a minute. Do you distribute the form?
No, you just add it to what you get to your tag.
It's it.
Okay, so that's 7.
So you just have to add it to your form.
If I was a farmer of cares, my field would be empty.
Oh my god.
It means that I don't have any cares.
Okay.
You don't get it?
If he doesn't have any cares for certain amount, does that make it easier?
I don't care. No. Hey, what are you doing? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. What is G of 10 is that is 10 over 2 minus 3, which is 2. And then we add the 4, which is.
Wait, are you ready?
How many of you got that one correct? For the record, there are no hands up in this classroom.
I don't have hands.
Yes. What? Why did I do this? Because this is 2, right? I just did 2 plus 4. I just rewrote it 2 plus 4. Yes. All right. All right. Now we're gonna graph. You guys want one more of those? Yeah, you do.
No, we don't.
Why do I feel like my family is like that?
Should we add a G?
Like us Santa does actually.
I'm gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, it's quite dusty.
Can I write it out?
Do it so
My handwriting is better.
What is
my handwriting brings 4.
G of 12 times negative 11.
I just changed my shirt. I'm like,
Oh no.
oh god.
Is that a wait?
For the record, I did not want, I did not hear that.
I did that up, so that's it.
No, you can do it.
First, I need to find f of 11, and then do then I have to find 8.
How do I reach these kids?
I'm looking right now. Just started playing.
Oh, I have none.
Do it. I hate that.
I have it. You saw me write it.
No.
You have 7 1/2 seconds remaining.
Alright.
Oh my god. We have a right there.
What?
Can I say yes, sir?
Sinai, please stop hitting Crystal. Did I say your name wrong again? Did I say your name wrong again? You're Crystal, right?
Yeah, she is Crystal.
No, you're messing with me. What is your name?
Her name is Crystal. Her name is Crystal.
No, Mr. Violet.
Yeah, I said it right. Crystal, right?
No, her name is Crystal.
Esther, shut up. You're right.
It's Crystal.
This is why I can't remember names, because you guys mess with me too much.
Mr. Violet.
I don't know her name because she says a different name every week. It's a different name every week.
No,
What is your name?
Crystal is wearing white.
No, that's Kristen.
Alright, I'll just give you.
the one in the white. Jesus.
I remember how we used to be so quiet.
Do you know who Joe is?
Don't answer that. I'm gonna say
No,
Joe
we're not
Mama.
doing that on YouTube.
You don't understand.
No.
You guys didn't keep the same face.
We keep it family friendly for YouTube.
Yeah,
YouTube also asked me if it's like kid friendly stuff. I don't know whether to click yes or no. I don't want to get sued.
Actually, yeah, if you do kid-friendly stuff, then you're going to have to moderate your content so that it doesn't track. So your videos are never going to be recommended to people.
Oh, so I can say adults only.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Then you won't be able to access it, right? I mean, I'm sure you all lied about your age.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we lied about our age.
YouTube thinks that YouTube thinks that I was born in 1985.
G of 12 is 12 over 2 minus 3, which is 6 minus 3, which is 3. That's one of our answers. And then f of negative 11 is 2 times negative 11 plus 1, which is negative 22 plus 1, which is negative 21. Alright, and then you have to do 3 times negative 21, which is
Negative 63.
I did that in my head.
You know we all
Is that what you got?
We just dabbed.
It did. I think it missed me because I was over here.
Oh,
Is it?
It probably would.
Mr. Milan doesn't know your special dance moves. What? I can't spend any more. I've already spent a lot of time on this. So you'll have some of these for practice for homework.
Yes.
Actually, I'm not assigning homework until Monday, but you'll still have practice for these. Yeah. No. I don't know how to do the bow.
No good stress class project. We'll do next week. Hey, go donate the team dream normal.
No, I needed that. Oh my goodness, it's only.
Oh no!
Get the monetize! How is it?
We have a microphone this time. Oh yeah. Picks up everything.
Hey, don't pull us
No,
towards
that's what I needed.
Don't pull the third line.
Yeah, don't pull us towards
Alright, example 2. This one's going to go very quickly because you already know how to do this. I just want to show you what it's done in function notation. The first one is f of x equals the negative 2/3
Yeah, negative 2/3 x
plus 2.
Plus 2.
Okay. Our job for this is just to graph it. What is my slope?
negative.
And what is my y-intercept?
2.
Okay, which means we plot 2. And we rise 2
Into the left 3.
to where? 2 up and 3
To the right.
left. Or 2
Down. To the right.
3 right. So 2 down, 3 right, or 2 up, 3 left. Either way, that's our line. You would look at that line. Oh my goodness. I'm just showing off for the video. F of x equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. That is a good line.
That is so bad. But that is a long line. It's so right by. That line is not straight.
Alright, but it's
Yes.
wrong.
It's right.
Okay, so So are they going to give me a number like f of 2? No. Because when we graph an equation, if we graphed an equation in regular form, we would graph it as y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2, right? There is no difference. It's the same thing.
Yeah, all you have to remember
So what
is
is y? Fx is y.
So y is the same thing as f of x.
Yeah, but what is y? Because every time I
Y
say
is the output.
That's the output? Yeah. Then why is there a y-intercept?
because there is.
The y-intercept is a point. It's 0,
It's your
2.
The y-intercept is when the line crosses the y-axis.
All right, graph the other line. I'll graph it. The other one is f of x is. Let me do this one instead. The other one is f of x what?
P of x.
It's
Actually, P.
Why are
P.
It's P of X.
P of x equals okay, where do I start?
At -1. Oh, -3.
-3. And I rise what? Where I rise up 1,
Left 1.
No, wait till the left.
Rise up 1 and
up 1, left 1, or down 1. Right.
Either way. Down one, right one.
Nice.
All right, let's.
Don't make it gay.
Oh yeah! Look at that.
That line.
Now, that one actually wasn't any good. This is P of x equals negative x minus. I know. I like to show my skills.
Is he even in the shot? Whoa! Is he in the shot?
Not cool, bro. Alright, that's how you graph them. Example 3, and we are finished. Alright, so these.
This is going to be a very long video.
I know, this has been a very long video. But, you know, maybe I'll chop it up, who knows. Yes! Yes, Mr. Mylan, yes!
He has some strange children.
Don't encourage me, it's just gonna get worse.
Exactly.
I encourage you. Don't.
Yes!
Don't do it.
Do what you believe in. You can be a pony if you want to.
I'm gonna get fired for
Isn't that example 3? That's example 3.
Okay, example 3a. So our job is to write a linear function for the table. So what is a linear function? It's just an equation, right? So we're going to write an equation in function notation for this table. In the past, when we wrote a linear equation for a table, what form did we put it in? Slope, intercept. Okay. What two things do you need for slope, intercept?
You need a slope and the
Slope
y-intercept.
and y-intercept. Okay. Which means from this table we have to decipher our slope and y-intercept. Now there's two options to find slope. We could grab a couple of these ordered pairs, plug them into the slope formula, solve, and get our slope. I'm going to show you an alternate way because I like doing things difficult. So look.
I didn't pay attention. No, I like the easier ways.
-3, -2, -1, 0, 1.
We learned this. Please continue.
What do you mean you learned it?
Oh, bro, why would you do that?
Joshua, Nathan, hands to yourself. Are you guys cold? My nose is freezing.
Yeah, me too.
You do it like this.
I know it's not.
Is your nose cold? What? I haven't done anything.
Like what is it?
I haven't done anything. Let me explain. Shush, 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 shush. Okay. So what is missing from my inputs? Well, there's a bunch of gaps. If these gaps were the same, we wouldn't have to do this. All right. What is my change from -3 to 1?
4.
Plus 4.
Plus 4.
I am seriously concerned.
Oh, I did it.
All right. What is my change from 1 to?
Plus
No, the change between the input.
It's plus 8.
From -3 to 1
Oh.
is plus 4. Okay, -3, -2,
Looking at the wrong
-1,
side.
0.
Why? Oh, she was looking at why.
She was looking at why.
Alright, from 1 to 7. Plus 6. Alright, now, if both of these were plus 4, they would be the same distance apart. I wouldn't need to do anything else. I could just find my slope from there. Because they're different distances, it means there's numbers missing in between them that I can fill in. Alright, so I know what -3 is. -3 is -0.6. And I know what 1 is. I know 1 is 0.2. What's missing here?
You know the numbers.
The other numbers. And what? Please stop. Stop what you're doing. Calm down. Stop distracting me. See, I'm all discombobulated. There are 3 sections here. We need to find 3 numbers to go in here that are even intervals, because these are all even intervals apart. It's a change by 1 each time, right? Well, what number would this go to this, to this, to this?
-0.4.
Nathan.
It goes to -0.4, then to -2. Well, -0.2, and then to 0.
Right? Does that make sense? So I added these in here. So what I've done is I've made a complete list of the ordered pairs, and now you can easily see the slope. So what is the change in x each time?
1.
Plus 1.
Plus 1, right? What is my change in y?
Plus 0.2.
0.2.
0.2.
So what is my slope? My slope is my change in y over my change in x. So my slope is 0.2 over 1, or just 0.2. Okay, that's my slope. Now, I don't need to do this to find that slope. I could have found it from this table here. I'll show you how, okay? Can I erase this bigger table? You guys good?
Yeah.
What is my change in y here? No, this is plus 0.4. No, it's 0.8.
Yeah.
What's this? Plus 0 plus 1.2? Okay. So do you see how this is smaller than this and this is smaller than this? That makes me think there's probably a pattern. So when that happens, you do this divided by this. So what is 0.8 divided by 4?
0.2. Wait.
And what is 1.2 divided by 6?
0.2.
So that's your slope, right?
Yeah.
I know, let that sink in for a second. Because normally when you guys see a table, you usually see a table where it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then some other numbers, right? And then you can calculate that this change is 1, or it's always a consistent change, right? They're not always going to be consistent. So look at the third one, the third table. What is it? C? What do you notice about that table?
It goes by 2 and
It goes by 2s and
then 1s.
then 1. So because they're consistent, you can just put your slope, right? If they're not consistent, you divide this by this. Now, what if this was 1.5?
It's gonna be a problem.
What is gonna now happen to this table?
It's not gonna make sense.
It's gonna make sense, but not linear sense. It's no longer linear. This would be a curve on the graph. A curve. So if this is a 4, This means that it is a linear function, it's a straight line, because the slope is constant. Okay? Alright, so my slope is 0.2. Now, was this easier, or would it have just been easier to take 2 of the points, plug them into the slope formula? Take 2 of the points, but you would have had to do it twice, because you got to make sure the slope is constant. Anyways, that's our slope. What's our y-intercept? It was on the previous table. It was 0 what? 0, 0. So the slope, so the y-intercept is 0. When x is 0, y is 0. No. Yeah, when x is 0, y is 0. So the y-intercept is 0. The table I just had up, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and then I had 0 here. What was next to 0? 0. 0. So that's my y-intercept, 0, 0. When x is 0, that's it.
Oh yeah.
Look at the notes you just took. Remember this? That's the second table I drew. Do you see when x is 0? What's next to it?
0.
If it was 0, 2, your y-intercept would be 2. If it was 0, 5, your y-intercept would be 5. If it was 0, negative 4, your y-intercept would have been negative 4. If it's 0, 0, your y-intercept is 0. Okay, so what's my equation? Wrong.
Oh,
F of
x is equal to 0.2 x
plus 0 or just this. You don't need the 0, but there it is anyways. Yes?
So if you took out the plus 0, it's still going to be the same thing?
That? Yeah. In fact, most of the time this won't be here because it's not needed. Yeah, so, well, no, I can, but I'd have to make weird intervals. I don't know. The problem, you weren't supposed to graph it. You're supposed to just write the equation. So, yes, I could, but no, I won't.
Yes.
Alright, let's do B. If I show you again, it'll make more sense. Height. Alright, B. We're almost there, kids. Longest video ever. Okay. So if I'm going to write my equation, what 2 things do I need? Okay. You got to have your slope to find the y-intercept. Now, if one of these was, to Hanny, if one of these x's was 0, so if this was like 0, 17, you don't need to find your y-intercept. It's already given. So 17 will be your y-intercept. Okay. So because 0 is not on this table, we have to figure out what 0 would be. So let's first see if it's consistent. If it's consistent, it saves us a lot of work. Is this, so what is my change in x? Plus 3 and plus 6. Ah, not so easy. All right, what's this one? Plus what?
plus
9 and plus
18.
Does this slope look consistent?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this one goes up by 3, that one went up by 9. That one doubled to 6, that one doubled to 18. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the slope is consistent.
Yeah.
So what is my slope? It is 9 over 3 or 18 over 6. Any way you look at it, it's just 3. That's my slope. It's the change in y over the change in x. Got it? All right, B. Since my slope is 3, that means every time I go up by 1, how much does my y go up by? 3. So if I go up by 1, I go up by 3 for the y. Watch this. So what is negative 2? Negative 1, right? That's from here. What is negative 1? 2. How did I get 2?
You went up by 3.
I went up by 3. What is 0?
5.
I'm up by 3. So I'm going up by 3 each time, but I'm going by 1. So now what is my y-intercept?
5.
So I have f of x equals 3x plus 5. The third table is consistent. What is my change in y?
Plus 1.
Plus 1? What is my change in x?
Plus 2.
So what is my slope? 1 over
2.5.
What is my y-intercept? Is it in the table?
No.
No. But I can just go down. I can just go. Wait. Am I going? Oh, I'm going down 1. I'm going up 2, and the y is going down 1. So it's negative 1/2. So every time I go up by.
Negative 1.5.
Every time I go down 1, I go up 2.
It's negative 1.5.
Yeah, it's negative 1.5. So f of x equals negative 1.5x. No. Negative 1/2 x minus 1.5. Alright, see y'all Monday.
Guys.
Oh, video. I forgot it was even on.